There are 21,600 inmates in the Oklahoma State Prison system, and all of them will have their own computer tablet by the end of October. The Department of Corrections says it pays nothing for the devices, and supporters say the pluses far outweigh the negatives. Steve Shaw has a report.
It's pretty neat, I haven't ever seen one. I've been gone 16 years.
Byron Robinson is a convicted murderer. He's serving life in prison and probably won't be getting out anytime soon.
Press the power button to lock the device and log in again.
Last month, Robinson and 2,000 other inmates at North Fork Correctional Center in Sayre became the first DOC inmates to get a tablet.
Oh, they've been out waiting for these things for a couple of months now, and hopefully it gives them something to do, something positive.
11 months ago, Dallas-based Securus Technologies won the bid to provide phone service to Oklahoma's 21,600 prison inmates. Instead of phones, inmates get a tamper-proof tablet.
Each tablet also acts as a phone. So it's its own telephone that an inmate can use just the same way they've had their telephone privileges up until now. However, instead of having to share one phone on the wall with every other inmate in the day room or a few phones, they now each have their own phone that they can take back to their own cell and have just a little more quiet and privacy from the other inmates.
Securus says it serves more than 3,400 law enforcement and corrections agencies across North America. These devices are not just phones. Inmates can access a library with 500,000 titles, and Wolf says there are educational opportunities as well.
An average inmate comes into the Department of Corrections at about a 7th grade educational level. So if they're leaving without having received their GED or education as much as we can, we don't want that to be for lack of opportunity.
Even the simple aspect of typing and drafting up a resume, we have programs that they can watch and learn even what a resume needs to have, and typing and getting used to the communication aspect of everything.
What do you think, my man?
Thank you very much.
The DOC says there's a practical side of this too.
What it allows us to do is digitize a lot of our paper processes. So inmates can now, with their own tablet, use the medical slip request. They can do requests to staff. They can look at their inmate booking to see how much money they have available. They can order items from the commissary. All those functionalities that have been a paper and pen process up until now will be digital.
While the tablets are free, Securus doesn't do it for free.
They get their money through microtransactions that are funded by the inmates themselves. So whenever a family puts money on those inmates' books, those inmates also have access to premium content such as approved songs and other entertainment that they can then spend money on, and that's how Securus will make their money on the back end.
Wolf says the tablets do not connect to the internet or social media. Everything is accessed through an internal network, and you better believe Big Brother is watching.
It lets us track all of those things that the inmates are doing on those tablets. So we have access to the logs of all their activities. We can shut down the tablets from central control without ever having to interact with the inmate or the tablet physically. And it also has anti-tampering measures built into it, so we're alerted if an inmate tries to use the tablet in any way other than as it's intended.
I mean, there's concerns, and we're keeping a close eye on it to make sure that the network security remains secure.
I don't think too many guys are going to try to mess this up, you know what I'm saying? Because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and it'll be pointless on trying to do anything other than what this thing is designed for.
Some critics argue not all of the state's 694,000 K-12 public school kids get personal laptops or tablets. So why should prisoners?
Ideally, everybody would have access to this sort of educational material. Now, Securus Technologies has agreed to provide this to the inmates as part of the phone contract with the Department of Corrections. And so it's not costing the taxpayers a dime up front.
Right now, the recidivism or reoffender rate amongst released Oklahoma prison inmates is just over 20%, which Wolf points out is 2% less than it was a year ago. He says these tablets will help give inmates a better chance of not reoffending. And as a bonus, Wolf says, tablets will cut down on the problem of illegal cell phones in all Oklahoma prisons.
Cell phones represent the #1 safety risk inside prison facilities.
How?
Inmates are able to communicate with each other. They're able to communicate both internally and externally. And when you have things like gang activity and drug activity, that just provides a significant safety concern that we need to address every way we can.
We reached out to a handful of victim advocacy groups this week. The ones that have gotten back to me won't say whether they're for tablets in prisons or against it. However, one Tuesday did say their research so far into what Securus is doing hasn't revealed any red flags.
Nearly all of our inmates are going to be released at some point, and one of the goals of the Department of Corrections is to make that release successful so that they can reintegrate into society and be set up for success, because eventually they're going to be all of our neighbors once again. And so the more obstacles that we can remove to help them become successful tax-paying citizens, the better it's going to be for everybody.
Steve Shaw, the Oklahoma News Report.